Good morning, Mark.
Welcome everybody to Bourbon Street for Friday, July 10th. It's hot enough for you there, Mr. Mayo?
It is a bit hot. This is a shadow, not sweats, though, as you pointed out earlier. It is a bit hot, though, a bit crispy.
I thought you were working out there. So going to jump into a bunch of things today about opening safely, government banning TikTok, best 4 months in sport. But I need you to indulge me for a second in a small rant. So Patrick Mahomes, quarterback for the Kansas City Chiefs, signed the largest pro athlete contract ever, $500 gazillion million, hoping to secure the Chiefs a few more Super Bowls. Look around the NFL right now. There is abundance of black quarterbacks. I'm going to throw a little black pride in here saying it's amazing we've got a black quarterback who's the highest paid quarterback athlete. The other day I'm having a conversation with somebody about Cam Newton signing with the New England Patriots. Now, if you listen to the Boston media, racist as it is, they're all on bent about Cam Newton can't do the Superman and Bill Belichick won't let him celebrate. Like, it's just utterly racist rants. But I had a conversation the other day where somebody said, well, I don't think Cam Newton will do well in New England because when I watch him on the sidelines, he sits with a towel over his head chewing bubble gum. And when I see other white quarterbacks on the sidelines, they're looking at the playbooks and they're looking at the screen. And I ask you this, when you were a kid in school, who did the teacher praise? They praised the fucking kid who came in and had his homework done and didn't need to be doing it at recess, or they praised the kid in the hallway doing extra fucking studying, and all of a sudden he's the smart quarterback. You know, I've listened to people talk about black quarterbacks for my entire life of football. I'm so glad we have the Lamar Jackson, this and that. Nobody calls Baker Mayfield stupid, and he's mobile and active. Why is it that people go, oh, Cam Newton, he's just an athlete, he's just a fullback playing quarterback? I'm a big Pittsburgh Steelers fan. I hope Cam Newton wins 2 Super Bowls in New England. I'm done. Over to you. Talk to me about the new world of can do. Anybody want to talk to me about black quarterbacks, sign up anytime. Sick and tired of it.
Are we in a world of good quarterbacks? Isn't that the reason why he's paid the $500 million, 100 and whatever, 30 guaranteed? It's about good. One thing about the world is they will pay for performance regardless of heritage.
Yeah, but for 100 years, there has been a complete stereotype about black quarterbacks.
100%. I'm not saying that.
And many of them had to come to Canada to play to get their due. And to your point now, people are like, you know what? I mean, there's an old joke. Sorry to interrupt your segment, but there's an old joke about basketball from a Southeast Conference coach who was once asked by a reporter, literally, how do you figure out how many black players to play? You know what he said? I start 2 at home, because I want to keep 2 black guys, 3 white guys to keep the fan base happy. When I'm on the road, I start 3. And when I'm behind, I play 5. There's your point. Because you got to catch up.
It's a good answer.
It's a good answer. Rant over. I'm going to have some of my smoothie. You go ahead.
Being the white AC guy from Saskatchewan, I think I'll stay out of that one right now. But I guess the thing I look at over the past, 120 days is my pet peeve constantly is those people that say can't, won't, don't, never. 4 words that I hate. And if you look at it, can't work from home. Can't let people work from home. Guess what? They're work from home. I'll never wear a mask. Guess what? You're not getting in the store without a mask. I don't do this. I won't do this. The fact is, if we can take one thing from this past 120 days, I hope people actually take heed to the fact that you can do anything, from a fact that you can shut down an economy. You cannot go to work for 3 months. And the fact is you're still here, still survive. So my question over to you is, what do you think is going to maintain in 2021? What new do you think is going to maintain in 2021? And what have you done that surprised you that you said, I could never do that?
Well, I think I mentioned this before. I'm playing the piano.
Are you?
Yeah, it's weird. Every night, probably 3 months in a row. I don't think I maybe missed 2 days. Working on a little John Legend right now. Working on a little Adele.
You sing?
Can I sing?
You sing while you do Adele?
I sing at 12 and 1 every Friday. It's just right after Bourbon Street's over, I start singing. I think quick answer to your question. we're going to have an omni-channel blended reality work-life existence.
Is that good or bad?
I'm stealing a comment from one of the women that was on one of my Sponsorship X webinars the other week when she said at her company, Cindy from Hewlett Packard, she said, we don't want to lose our COVID mentality. I think that's a good thing. I think you've seen, and I have a bunch of business things that I've done differently. I'm probably not going to talk about at this very moment, but I will after you kick me under the table. But I think it's a good thing. What are you going to do differently? Or what surprised you of what you've done?
I think the face masks. It leads me to the common sense factor. They're terrible to get the fiber down, but if it keeps people safe, lets you in place, it's pretty simple. Just all you have to do is do this, you don't get in, and you watch what actually happens. Don't ask people, tell them, and they might do something. But I guess the one thing is I hope it opens up to that can't is not a word. I mean, can't is a useless word. It's built by old people. They make up the rules. Old people make up rules to make young people's lives miserable, and I think that's one of the things that happens. And there's a big difference between rules and laws. So I just hope it lets youth challenge rules going forward about the can'ts. That's what am I going to be doing differently? I don't know. I think more people are going to be staying home than already did. We already had an open office, but the fact is, I think it's just going to be work from wherever, which I think is fantastic for work-life balance. So I'm excited for that. I think people now can embrace it, and it'll be great. Over to the Redskins.
One other thing I'm trying to do, which I'm probably not succeeding on yet, trying to listen. Speaking of can't, the owner of the Washington Redskins had said for a long time, won't, never consider changing the name. You know, it's pretty sad that there have been groups. One group in particular has been working in the United States for 50 years to get the Redskins to change their name. The Redskins, by the way, were originally from Boston. Not that I'm picking, there's great people in Boston, but there's also a lot of tension in Boston. But there was a letter released recently that went to Roger Goodell, the commissioner of the league, from North American leaders asking for this change. And, you know, I got to tell you, as much as I always felt it was wrong, I'm going to read sentence 1 from this letter, under which there's a bunch of things that say specifically, we, the undersigned, request that the NFL immediately require the Washington NFL team owner, Dan Snyder, to immediately change the name, and they went R *DSK *NS, a dictionary-defined racial slur for Native peoples. And, you know, I've been listening to this topic a lot, and I naively didn't even, I always knew it was bad, but this is literally a dictionary-defined term. Nike stopped selling Washington R team merchandise. 3 of the minority owners, who basically are worth $620 billion, want out because of Snyder's reluctance. The value of the team's falling. I hate to say it, these Native leaders would still be ignored if it wasn't, in my opinion, for the brands and companies threatening. I think this is, I don't know your thoughts. I'd love to say this is a holistic Puritan, they're going to change the name for the right reasons, but I think it boils down to money.
Well, and the fact is how easy it is to change the name. The fact is you put a great product on the field, people don't care what the name is. Washington will love them. Washington whatever will love them. So the fact that they're staying the ground, you just have to question if the person has too much money to actually have common sense that actually sits there and goes, why wouldn't I? If you list up all the pros and all the cons, he's really saying, I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
My team, my money, I'm bigger than that. Don't give a shit. I own this. And the fact is, obviously, tone deaf. And we'll see what happens. I think he'll lose big time in the short term. Long term, if it's a good product, they'll sell. NFL's around for a long time, worth billions and billions and billions. But I don't know why it's not easier. Sorry.
What is the name of Washington's NBA team?
The Wizards.
What did it used to be?
Equality. I don't know.
The Bullets.
Probably, of course it did. Of course it did. Yeah.
So, to your point, you can change a name because probably bullets and AK-47 and, armor-piercing slugs isn't the best name for a sports team. Before we jump on to how much it's costing to keep our country afloat. So, do you think Vancouver Canucks, Cleveland Indians, or Edmonton Eskimos are names that need to be changed? Canucks, Indians, Eskimos? Putting you on the spot.
Do I think they need to be changed? I personally believe, right now is a tough thing to say. I think people are overly sensitive to everything and underly sensitive to the really important things. So I don't know who is there, but the fact is it's too easy to jump on the bandwagon. It's too easy to say change everything just because you're part of the conversation.
Yeah.
Whereas I don't know who the moral judge is of what should and should not be changed, but some should not. Each one should be looked at independently. It's way too easy to jump on and just start blabbing. There's way too many people, especially people who just jump on any cause, but it's a cause of the week and then they'll forget about it rather than people that sustain. So what I would suggest is you'd have an independent board that looks across it. And I hate independent boards. It's just a waste of time, but look at it realistically. Take it out of the owner's hands, which they couldn't. And if I looked at Washington, if they changed their name, I guarantee they would sell records.
They would sell it. Yeah, appeal to the idiot's purse strings. So speaking of money, you and I, and thank goodness our country's invested, you and I are still paying off World War II. I don't know if you know that. Our children and grandchildren, are they going to be paying off COVID-19?
Well, if you look at our projected deficit, which is not going to be, I'm talking Canada, U.S. at 3.9 trillion, I think is the estimate right now, up from 900 billion. It works.
Canada or the U.S. Sorry,
that's the U.S. It works. The 50K spend. That's what we just spent per household in Canada. 50K.
Right.
And we're only starting it. Did we get our money's worth? We just took 50 grand out and spent it. That's what actually happened. What did we get for it? What can we get for it? What can we demand for it? The fact is they can go spill $1 billion on anything they want right now, and we'll never notice because it's $344 billion instead of 343. So my comment to you is with 50K per household spend, 12% unemployment. If the subsidies ends, probably estimated 18 to 20% unemployment. Like how much more can we spend? Like, what do you think the next 90 days are going to look like after August 29th when CERB and the rest get cut?
Well, the queues has been extended. The curb will be expanded. Prior to look, I don't know Justin Trudeau. I assume he's a nice kid. I voted for him. I kind of look around and go, what freaking choices do we have? But I just wish he would get his head out of his ass and realize that the whatever the Montreal club that he thinks he belongs to, it's okay to do this with SNC-Lavalin and with charities and whatever. And oh, by the way, my mom made $250,000 speaking for this charity who I just gave. Like, what I think has been smart about our governments at all levels is the programs we put in place have been relatively easy to access, have been smart on certain things. People who need the money have gotten the money. And, Karen, my wife, likes to say that Justin Trudeau is the #1 VC in Canada. I hope that everybody who's got that money is improving themselves and improving our country. I'm not positive people are. I think too many people are out there still moping and groping and don'ting and canting and won'ting, and I'm stuck. Your jobs, your lives are all changed. So I think for that investment, and I might sound preachy here, but I don't care. I'm not going to become a professional pianist, but I'm working my balls off to revise my company, to figure out how I can contribute to save jobs. And we owe that. And, you're hearing about people making their curb and they don't want to come back. Well, you know what? You better get your butt back. And if you're not going to get your butt back to work part-time, volunteer. You don't need a federal program to get people to volunteer for charities. Or you know what? I'm also trying to lose weight. My family got me a fat vest for Father's Day.
I love your family.
Yeah. But you know what? If I lose weight, I help our economy in the future. And speaking of our economy, you and I have talked a little bit about masks. I love this study out of Goldman Sachs in the US. Masks, unbelievably political there. People think their freaking freedom and rights are being taken away. They actually don't believe in masks. But Goldman Sachs ran a study that said if there was a federal mandate for masks, it could save 5% of the US GDP. It's the equivalent of shutting down the US economy for an entire month. And I think the US economy was like, $400 trillion. Masks, and people getting killed. Like a guy shot a security guard at a dollar store because he wouldn't be let in without a mask on. And some other security guy shot a guy because he wasn't wearing a mask. Like, people are being killed. But to your point, it's kind of weird. You know, I went and got my coffee this morning. I wore a mask. I went to Nut Bar. I wore a mask. I couldn't have imagined 4 months ago wearing masks. But if we wear masks, we have a chance. Like, to your point, I don't get why everyone's so dumb. Why wouldn't you wear a mask versus having our economy shut down for a month? And I assume what Goldman Sachs has studied, the same principles apply globally.
Yes, I mean, the fact that we need leadership that actually dictates from a health perspective, not from a political perspective, on how to get us back to normal, whether it's queues or CERB or masks or what, hand washing or sanitizers. Like, just give us some direction outside of Trump and Trudeau. Give us direction that's going to get us back. I mean, Ontario, Canada is doing great. Maybe 10 of the states are doing well.
Yeah.
And the reality is the economy, in my opinion, Donald Trump gets way too much credit for it. It's the fact of, it's common sense. Mark, you're not going to walk in to a bar with 400 people. It has nothing to do with Donald Trump or the governor or the politician. It's common sense.
Yeah. But let's call a spade a spade. Trump has hurt the U.S. economy in the long term. People just don't realize it. Simple example, he's made their currency worthless globally. I don't mean worthless in terms of its exchange rate. I mean in terms of its political clout. Because he held it over China's head, he held it over Russia's head, and they're all building Iran's head, and they're all building their own currencies and their own currency trading groups. And therefore, if you don't need American dollars, you don't have to listen to Americans. Common sense. So you said you're not seeing it from Trudeau or Trump, but here's a bit of a loaded question. My answer will be in the question. What do you think of the job Doug Ford's doing in terms of common sense?
I think he's pragmatic, emotional, and non-political. So
emotional or emotionless?
He's emotional. He's showing his passion. Like when they did the price gouging, and the next day there's a line that's on CP24 every day. If you got price gouging, we're going to hit you with that and
right.
Put institutes. So his emotion and passion to do what's right for people, whatever you thought about him before.
Yeah.
If you don't think he's actually gives a shit, I think you haven't watched him.
I couldn't stand him before. Like, I was so anti Doug Ford, and right this minute, could I get the pasty white guy from Saskatchewan to snap your fingers and make a royal decree to put him in Ottawa? Just let him run the country for the next 6 months and save us.
Yeah, it's the fact is he's just being pragmatic and realistic. I'm talking about common sense for a second. And the fact is, again, Trump gets way too much bashing. And I'm not saying there's anything good about it. I'm just saying the fact that—
You can't even say those words. There's no such thing.
Hold on a sec. 340 million people. 340 million people that stand for freedom have to make their own friggin' minds up to go in and get everyone else sick, especially the elderly, especially their parents, especially their aunts and uncles. It has nothing to do with politics. It has to do with common sense. And the fact it's the most overused word because we're proving every day it's not very common. I mean, the bar at King and Adelaide, I think, shut down. We said 150 people. They lost their liquor license. Hopefully they lost their liquor license for 10 years. Hopefully they're out of business if they're that irresponsible with people's lives. But I do have something else on Justin Trudeau. I knew that you'd be one that would vote him in, even though he was shown, 15 times with blackface, but that doesn't matter today. But
for the record, that came after my vote.
That's a good— So if you look—
For the record, I once went to a Halloween party of Saddam Hussein, so that might have been inappropriate as well.
So if you look at which we didn't talk about, so you read up on it in the last 24 hours, and the board dismissed themselves 6 months before they're supposed to. Their biggest issue was they want more transparency. One of their board members asked for more transparency about all the great work they claim to have done in Kenya. You look at the fact that they said they didn't pay Trudeau and the rest of the people, yet they do have now published statements that they did pay, which you could say is a mistake, a convenient mistake, or just an outright lie. So being a sponsorship expert and putting you on the spot here, if you're the Royal Bank and you're a major, major sponsor of We Charity, what would you do? That's the first question. My second question is, if you're a potential sponsor of We, what would you do? Over the floor to you.
I'm going to let the Royal Bank decide that. And we're going to talk about TikTok. And so, TikTok ruined Trump's rally and tells us, look at you, can't even stop laughing. I'm lucky you
can't bypass that question.
I answered the freaking question.
You're a sponsorship consultant. We should not be doing Bourbon Street unless we are true to what we're here to provide opinion. The fact that they actually have published documents in 24 hours showing payment. The fact that all this is, they're asking for transparency. I just don't get
I don't get how people get free rides. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me.
I'm gonna let
find out the truth.
Side, and I'm gonna wait for all it to come out. I will say this in simple. I'll say this in simple terms. It doesn't matter to me whether it was we or any other charity. The fact that our government, that Justin Trudeau, with a straight face, white or black, can try to pretend that one of his civil servants came up with the idea and that this was issued and that the Canadian government couldn't manage that program. And by the way, paid volunteerism seems to be a bizarre thing to me. Like, if you wanted to help those charities, you could have very easily figured out who to allocate the money to, et cetera. I guess my bottom line is let experts be experts.
Okay.
We'll move on from there.
TikTok.
And I appreciate you putting me on the spot, and I know I caved. So TikTok. Mike Pompeo is saying, oh, we need to ban TikTok from the United States because it's a security risk. I know, maybe I'm doing too much Trump bashing today. Is this not a blatant attempt? They realize that TikTok is going to help Trump lose this election. And like, are they really thinking they're going to ban it on the basis of security?
Over the next 90 days, I do not trust anything that the Republicans do other than to say, will it help him get reelected or not? That's the only decision. So I would suggest any action they take, I would assume the worst case scenario. The fact TikTok has shown tremendous gains, especially among that young, influential 15 to 40-year-old group, phenomenal. It has eroded some of the.
We're telling every one of our clients and every brand, every charity, get on TikTok right now. The data, screw the data. It's the surge. It's the thing. People they're worried about, your data and all the rest. Like, come on. There's somebody in China right now recording our facial expressions and doing a profile on us anyway. So who cares? That was racist. I'm taking that back. That was inappropriate. But okay, let's go over to you. Social unrest.
So keep the foot in the gas. The point is, I think June 9th or the fact is, I was skeptical that the equality I see on your shirt, the inequality, the racism, people being shot due to race or being treated differently would lapse. Unfortunately, it has lapsed. It's still significant, but it has lapsed by in the neighborhood of, we'll talk Canada, about 3 million people off the boat or off the bus. In the US, 50 million people.
Don't say off the boat.
Jumped off the bus. The reality is, how do we actually keep it going? The point is, if you look at who's jumped off, it's young people and it's women. They're the ones that were enraged and now they've fallen off. That's not their fault. And you look at what the brands are doing, they're doing the best they can. I mean, they've done more now than I've ever seen them do. Yeah. It's how do we actually push it? And I actually, back to you, because I actually don't know the answer to this, is how is your mandate going to get 100 interns hired? Have you seen any wane in it? And I know it's a short period of time, but
no. You know what? Look, you're right. You're going to go from here where my hand is, and you're going to slip. But I think overall, I think the momentum is still. Yes, empirically, there might be less people who are vitriol about it, but you see what's happening all around the world. For example, now what's coming like life is black nurses in the UK who've been discriminated against even during COVID and forced. There's a voice. There are brands. There are communities. Communities are painting Black Lives Matter on the roads. People are screwing it up, and then they're getting charged. I think the foot is still on the gas. No question. Even in my own initiative, there's lots of people at the first meetings, but now what we've got the doers. And actually, I had an 8 a.m. call this morning with Lee Himmel, who I've known for a long time, and she's out recruiting people and putting constructs together. And I've got new companies who are joining. And so for me, it's a long term. It's about building the foundation. It's not just about a flashpoint rally. And I actually got this shirt. You and I were in New Orleans a couple of years ago, which is where the name of the show came from. Nike had a pop-up NBA All-Star. I thought today was a good day to have this shirt because I have a Black Talent Initiative meeting today, and I'm also facilitating for the rest of the afternoon the Black Lives Matter task force that Ontario University Athletics have put together. Because read what Donovan Bennett from Sportsnet wrote on their website about his feeling as a Black athlete, as a Black journalist. You know what? we'll keep it pushing. We'll keep it going.
Can
And
you post that link?
yeah, I will.
Okay.
I will. I don't know if I can do it right this moment.
No, just do it after.
But I will absolutely. And so maybe like last couple of things here around kind of sports. Like, do you think it's safe for sports to be coming back?
Yeah, the way they're doing, again, the way they're doing it. If the bubble is true in Orlando, 100%. Absolutely. If they have good testing all the time, absolutely. If they can get testing done in less than 5 days, absolutely. I think
so. The Ivy League, which ostensibly in the U.S. is the smartest universities, right? The Penns and the Harvards, canceled fall sports.
I think it's a safe way. Meaning, I think it's the safe way rather than if you actually do it, it's not a high risk area. It's not a high risk group of people. If they actually follow the protocol and they actually are in the hub cities, I think it's showing boldness and a desire to actually do something that can actually put sport or entertainment in a whole other stratosphere, higher than it currently was. I think it's
we all want it back, but
yes, I do. The answer is yes, I do. I don't think Major League Baseball in 30 parks is the right way to do it, but I think the NHL and NBA have it a much better solution.
I mean, I love the Blue Jays, and I'm a season ticket holder, and I've done stuff with them. But I don't understand why they need to play in their stadium in front of no fans.
It doesn't matter where you play. Just play. Just put it on TV. Get some content. Show some plays. It's going to change the atmosphere, the feelings about human beings, whether it's here, Spain, whatever. Tell me when the best 4 months in sport are starting. Best 4 months in sport is starting August 1st. We got hockey, basketball, football, golf, NFL football.
There's not going to be an NFL season.
You don't think so?
Not a freaking chance.
I bet there is.
Not a chance. And then no. Think about it. They're okay. There's not going to be a season.
Okay, so we get the Masters, we get the U.S. Open. I'm an optimist. You're a pessimist.
Ryder Cup got moved. No, I'm just like I'm Mr. Rose-colored glasses. I'm totally an optimist. Hey, next week you're going to be on vacation. Are we still going to do Bourbon Street?
We'll decide over a drink.
Okay, but I mean, weird time, camping, RVing. Where are you going to be next week?
Up in a cottage. We will do it. I think you'll be there.
I think I will be. I think you will do it. Last minute invite. Okay, so next week, join us. We're going to try to dial in live from Sparrow Lake. When I was 15 years old, I worked a summer on Sparrow Lake, renting boats, cutting grass, painting buildings, and so it's going to be a little bit of a throwback. And
we still need that help up there, so let's get going.
Wow, I'm wearing an equality shirt, and you just said that. You said that out loud.
It has nothing to do.
I'm going to drag the ending on until you turn red.
It has nothing to do with color. It has to do with someone who's efficient at cutting grass.
Oh, thank you. Is that because I have 10 fingers and 10 toes, so my grass cutting skills are
I'm good.
Safety standpoint.
Thanks for showing up.
Say goodbye. Yeah. Okay. Cheers.
Cheers.